Hello and welcome to the first video newsletter that the Physical Therapy Centre is sending you. And please stay till the end because this is going to be hugely exciting for you. G'day, how's it going? It's Thursday the 26th of March 2020. What a fantastic year we're having. And I'm just sitting down to have my breakfast. Every morning I get in here and I make some oats, I soak them overnight, and then I chuck in some vanilla protein powder. You'll see this stuff here. I put in some honey, some cinnamon, some dehydrated mushrooms. Don't ask me what it is, Jess got it for me. It's good for your brain or something. Clearly I need that. And then I stick it in the microwave for 1 minute and probably ruin all of the nutrients anyway. And then I eat it. So I'm just going to eat this now and then I'll be right back. It is good. So as I was saying, 2020, wow, what an interesting year and interesting times that we are living in at the moment. A lot of panic is around, huge misinformation, and just some crazy behaviour in supermarkets and on the streets. So I thought I might start off with a bit of trivia. You've probably heard of COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, coronavirus. What do all these things mean? Well, corona is from the Latin word which means crown. And when you look at the virus under an electron microscope, its structure is such that it appears to have a crown around the body of the virus. So you would have heard of things like Corona beer, and the logo for that is a crown. And what else? Oh, the coronary artery, so corona artery, if you like. This is an artery which wraps around the heart as if like a crown. And COVID-19 is actually the name of the disease which you get from the actual virus, which is called SARS-CoV-2. SARS stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. And a lot of what these people have been dying from, mostly the elderly, is acute respiratory distress syndrome. I forget the acronym, but that's kind of how this virus works. It attacks the alveoli, which are inside your lungs. It causes them to be very fibrotic, and you have difficulty breathing. So over the weekend, I decided to jump onto the Department of Health and do this infection control training that I've noticed a few people doing, and I guess it was okay. It was pretty basic. I think we'd have to describe you as mentally challenged if you didn't get 100% for the test that they give you at the end. But look, I don't want to put pressure on you if you have any intention of doing this yourself. But jump over there and give it a go for yourself. So I've actually noticed a lot of other practices, physiotherapy clinics, chiropractic clinics, medical clinics, have been crapping on social media about how much attention they're paying to wiping down surfaces and sanitizing their benches and things like that. And I'd just like to reiterate to everyone that not really a lot has changed here, and that is because this is something that I've always done. For those of you who've been in here recently, you would have noticed that I'm cleaning the bench in front of you, and that's just to make you guys feel comfortable that it is being done. But I want you to know that in between each and every patient, I'm always cleaning down the headpiece of the bench because if I was to be going into a clinic, this is how I'd want it for me. The only thing that's been different has been me supplying this hand sanitizer for people at the end of their consultation. And I think this is something which I'm going to need to do from this point on because this is one of the ways that I think the world is going to change. I think after this whole coronavirus thing calms down, people are going to pay a lot more attention to hand sanitizing and touching surfaces and things. Perhaps it'll die out after a while, but I guess we'll wait and see. But that leads me to an interesting question is, I asked one of my patients just yesterday, when do you think things will return to normal? And he said, well, I think the standards for normal are going to be changed after this, and it's a good point. How do you think we're going to behave after this? Are we going to turn into germaphobes and sanitize everything? Are we no longer going to shake people's hands and high-five them? Being a practitioner, I believe hugely in the power of the human touch, and this is why I'm the type of practitioner who's very hands-on. I don't like anything between me and the patient. Admittedly, I have been using Graston technique and the cold laser, but as you'll know, I never use these in isolation, or rarely will I. I'll always marry those techniques up with other hands-on techniques. So it'd be interesting to hear from you guys, what are the changes that you think this whole coronavirus pandemic is going to bring into the world? Another thing to think about might be border control. We might be a lot more stringent with who we let in and out of our country because of infectious diseases. The other big question I have, which I've been asking people because I think it's a great discussion, is are all the lengths that we're going to contain this virus worth the cost to the economy? Now, I'm the first one to admit that I'm a small business owner, and it's certainly affected me. I guess you could say, fortunately, the government has deemed the services that we provide here as essential, and I'll talk more about that later. So I can still work, but I'd be lying if I told you that it's pumping here this week and for weeks to come. With everybody in North Sydney shifting out of the area and working from home, by default, I naturally become less busy. It's a tough debate to start because obviously there's a lot of sensitive people. Your knee-jerk reaction to that might be, well, of course it is. People are dying. How do we should be preventing this? We don't want any deaths, and of course we don't. But the deaths that are happening, the mortality is, as far as I can understand with the stats that I've looked at, it's very low. And the people who it's affecting mostly are the elderly, immunocompromised. Now, I have my mum and dad, they're 79 and my dad turns 80 this year. And, fortunately they don't have any underlying illnesses. I guess my mum's an asthmatic, but not a terrible asthmatic. And of course I want them to stay around for as long as possible. But I just wonder, what do you think would happen if we let this virus run its course? Because from what I can tell, it seems like that's going to happen. And I understand this whole strategy of trying to flatten the curve so that it reduces the strain on the healthcare system. But as I said, it comes at a huge cost to the economy. And, are we going to too great a lengths to protect a demographic of people who may not be with us for much longer anyway, in favour of perhaps putting a huge stress on people's lives financially? I mean, there's people who've had to cancel weddings, travel, people who've had aspirations of owning a home and have gone to sign the dotted line but can't now. It's shifted them back. People have lost huge amounts of money in their investment portfolios, and perhaps none of this matters. It's life is what matters. We should be protecting life, but yeah, these are sensitive things to consider, and I think we should speak about them. And so again, at the risk of sounding insensitive, all I'm trying to do is just stimulate conversation. So please, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. And of course, there might be some of you out there listening to this who are in that risk category and saying, well, of course we should be going to this length, I don't want to die. And that's completely fair. Anyway, enough about coronavirus. I think we've discussed enough about that. What has been happening here? So just a reminder that I'm not the only one that works here. I am the chiropractor, but we also have Kate Adams, otherwise known as the back physio. Kate's somebody I met when I did a dry needling course way back in 2000, and I can't remember. And Kate is such a great practitioner. She has a really good touch, very knowledgeable, lovely lady, and she and I have been sort of cross-treating patients, and she also works in Manly at her little shindig over there, which is a cool little practice in the army barracks. We also have Neil Eden. He's the massage therapist. Neil comes from the UK. He's a hugely sporty guy, and he actually does a lot of rehabilitation work with people who are suffering like shoulder injuries or knee injuries. And he's got like 3 or 4 jobs. He works out of a number of different clinics and gyms and dojos and yoga studios, but he also works here, and his availability is reflected in the online booking schedule as well. And then of course we have the wonderful Lara, one of our receptionists, and I recently just took on another girl called Michaela. Michaela's a new physiotherapy student doing the Doctor of Physiotherapy course at Macquarie Uni, and you might be seeing her around. She's going to do Mondays and Saturdays. I thought I might run you through a few of our products here. The first one, Natural Calm. This is a magnesium supplement. Magnesium is great for your muscles. I'll take this if I've had a really tough tennis match or I've done a really intense workout where I'm feeling depleted. You know that feeling when you have exercised lots and lots and you've sweated profusely and you have a craving for salt? That's your muscles begging for magnesium. Often people will have like salt and vinegar chips, but it would be much better to have this. This is a powder which you put into, just a cup of water. I like to chill my water in the fridge beforehand, just because it has that little bit of extra quenchability. It's best to have it at night because magnesium is also good for your sleep. Anyway, you take this and you turn into a superhero. You might have heard me crapping on about the pillows that we've got here now. These recovery pillows from Blackroll are frickin' incredible. I know they are because I have the most sensitive litmus test known to man, and that is I gave one to Jess, my other half, and I thought if she likes it, everybody on planet Earth will. And guess what, folks? She absolutely loves it, to the point where she says she doesn't suffer neck pain anymore. So by default, I no longer have neck pain because for as long as she did, she was a pain in the neck. Hopefully she won't see this. Okay, so then we have these essential oils. Now, you might have noticed upon being in this practice before. Oh, where is it? Oh, I've put it in my practice room. I'll show you over here. See this little oil diffuser here on the ground? There it is. Usually that is sitting over in the corner there by the water filter and permeating this antimicrobial vapor throughout the room. And I know it works because I come in here in the morning and without it even being on, I smell this lovely essential oil residue. And I've been using specifically Rosalina and eucalyptus, which is particularly antimicrobial. So it permeates throughout the clinic, and viruses are a microbe, as are fungi and bacteria, and there's one other one which I forget. And it makes it very difficult for these things to live in this environment. And again, that's something which I've always done, which is why people coming here should feel confident that they're in a safe environment. Anyway, so essential oils, we've started selling those. They're around about $20 to $30, depending on which one you get, and they last a long, long time. Armour Force by Bioceuticals. It's got echinacea and olive leaf. It's the type of stuff you want to overdose on around flu season to prevent you from getting really, really sick. And back blocks, spiky massage balls. We've got some lone hemp protein here. It's something that Jess has left behind for people like her to have. And then vanilla bean protein. Oh, I just forgot to mention as well, of course, Jessica Jones, our resident wellness and detoxification expert. She's been helping quite a few people lately, people who are looking to lose weight, detoxify their body, clean up their diets, live a healthier life. Quite literally, I know you've heard this before, beauty from inside out. She knows how to do it. So just a final reminder to everyone, we have fortunately been deemed by the government to be an essential service, and so we are definitely open for the foreseeable future. The government is encouraging people to utilise our services to ease the strain on the public health care system. In other words, if you're suffering acute back pain, acute neck pain or something like that, Sometimes people will take these sorts of complaints to the hospital, which at this point in time would be pretty unfair with these people trying to concentrate on issues to do with coronavirus. Like many other health professionals, I primarily want to help people. So if you're struggling financially or it's too difficult for you to get in here physically, please just call the practice and I will be available during this time to consult with you over the phone, FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, whatever. We'll make a plan. But in the meantime, it's still safe to come here as far as I can tell, and please just reach out if you need anything. You might have heard the saying, you're only growing if you're uncomfortable, and I certainly live by that. I don't like to be uncomfortable, but I do in that it propels me to think creatively and how I might be able to dig myself out of a tricky situation. So I don't know if that helps you, but if you're feeling down in the dumps or you're stressed, try to hold on to that phrase and the world goes on. You will get through this strange time that we're in. But remember to try and exercise. Exercise is good for so many things. And if you can get your body to sweat, puff and pant, and feel like you've exerted your body, it's a great way to release stress and have you see clearly again. I can't stress that enough. Remember, I say it doesn't matter what direction, just keep moving. So for the time being, we're still permitted to get outside and exercise in parks and things like that. So do that. And enjoy this time where you're forced to be with your family and other loved ones. Okay, remember my door is always open and I'm here to help. Have a great day, guys.
Ooh. You want to hold the camera? Huh? You want to hold the camera? There you go. You hold the camera. Hold the camera. Hold the camera. You hold it. Yeah, your turn. Bye. Don't drop it. You give it back. Yeah, you give it back. Hello.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, thanks mate. Good on you.